Welcome to Dad Talk Podcast. This is our new YouTube channel. We're trying something new. You could find us on Facebook Live, Instagram, and then also streaming live on anchor.fm. So sit back and relax, whether you're listening in your car or watching while you're at home or in the office. Welcome to Dad Talk Podcast. Enjoy. It's all about communication. I always say that lack of communication can be the life or the death of a relationship, of um, certain situations that are going on. That if the if your words get crossed, signals get crossed, then it can become a bigger issue. So communication is definitely key because sometimes folks lack that. They lack the art of communication, being able to communicate effectively. They tend to lack that or have that type of skill. So it is necessary that, we look at that and understand that how you communicate, verbally and non-verbally can sometimes mean life or death in certain situations. And I say life or death in the growth of your business, life or death in the growth of your relationship, life or death when it comes to your job, life or death when it comes to whether you're going to get a raise or not, or whether you are actually going to keep that job. Your communication is key. Um, and just how communicate with others is key. It is a very big part of what we do from day to day, where we have conversations with people, and within those conversations that we have with folks, it really determines what the outcome may be. So I would always say, learn how to be a wordsmith in a way. Learn how to be persuasive. And those who don't know how to, then they have to learn how to. But some of us have that natural, that knack of being able, that gift to gab, being able to talk to people, being able to explain things in a way that maybe others can't, or having full control of a vernacular that sets you apart from other people. So when we are thinking about those stages and what I was talking about, those different areas in life, is that we want to be able to communicate effectively. So then that way we can distance ourselves from the pack. You know, they always say that you can really judge or understand the level of education, um, what a person reads, what a person, thinks, just by the way that they speak, the way that they communicate, the way that they handle certain things. You can always see, in essence, always figure out if they, have a decent education, if they know how to use their words. You can figure all of that out just by the way of how they communicate. You have situations where something happens and someone gets upset, and it may be something small, something real small, but they get upset and they don't really um, use their words, or they don't really communicate in the best way possible for that particular situation. They may get rah rah and think that it has to go there. We have to fight. We have to have to do some harm to someone, because the only form of communication that I'm used to are these. That when all else fails, we're gonna knuckle up and we're gonna fight in order to get my point across. But we know that there's other ways to get your point across. There's other ways to be nice, nasty, right? To really smack somebody verbally without even lifting a hand. Being able to put people in their place when they're out of place without literally being very aggressive or forceful with it. That there's a certain way that if you speak it a certain way, if you use, your words and you're able to communicate it effectively, that they will know that you mean business. So there's a certain way that you do things in order for them to understand that. Why is communication so important? If you look at it, and I keep going back to life and death, because depending on that situation, it definitely can be. Communicating your wants and needs, communicating what you feel, whether it's you addressing a certain situation a certain way, how you communicate it and how it comes across can be the difference between life and death. And I can break out so many different scenarios where folks have actually lost their lives is because of a miscommunication. So when you miss the point to communicate effectively, therein lies the miscommunication. I don't understand where they were coming from, or I thought that they were coming from a different, place. I thought that they were disrespecting me. All of those things play a big part in when you have a miscommunication and you have people beefing over something that was said, heard, or implied. So it is important, when it comes to that. It is important where part of communication is using some type of assertiveness. I tell my kids every day, you have to use assertiveness. It's the way you say it and it's how you say it and how you bring it to someone that you are serious about what you are saying, and that you want the attention to be on you. You want that person that is listening to understand you wholeheartedly and fully. So you don't want to leave any gray areas. You want to be as direct as possible with whatever it is that you have to, let out. So try to be direct and to the point. So it's important in so many different levels because we do this form of interaction every day. We communicate every day, whether it's going to the store, whether it's on the phone talking to someone, whether it's meeting someone out, at work or out in the community. When we're going, to the store. So it really does matter. And when I was talking about the respect or self-respect part of communicating, is that yes, you can actually do more harm to the conversation with not knowing the exact words or not knowing the exact tone to use when you are speaking to someone. So yes, it has been a situation, plenty of situations where folks miscommunicate and bam, we have a problem. Relationships. So in relationships, that is very, very important. We have verbal and nonverbal communication that we have in relationships. And a lot of times folks will mistaken what is not said and what is done for something else. Whether you voice your opinion about something, whether you voice your true intentions and just let it ride, then that's where miscommunication can come up too. Or if you expect something out of someone, your expectations of someone when they're not communicated effectively can fall on deaf ears, for one, and for two, have you looking crazy or having that other person looking crazy or having someone feeling disrespected is because that person did not read my mind, because no one communicated exactly what they wanted. So now you getting upset, and the other person's like, look, I'm not a mind reader. I cannot read your mind. So you're going to have to open up your mouth and say something in order for me to understand where you're coming from. You know, don't just assume um, these other things. Don't assume that because someone is a certain age, right? Don't assume that, um, I would say age, maturity, um, and also just knowing better. Don't assume that someone just knows better. Okay. You have a lot of folks that grow up that aren't taught certain things, or these things are missed, where at the point in time that they told them, hey, don't put your elbows on the table, they weren't listening, So now to this day, they eat with their elbows all on the table, you know. So it was miscommunicated. They did not hear. So we want to make sure that we look at those things and we understand those things, that, yeah, we're not mind readers, so we cannot read someone else's mind. And or the only way that we will know is that if it's communicated. We can't just be like, okay, I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to feel this way, and it's supposed to be automatic. Again, most people were not brought up that way, and maybe they did not learn that that was unacceptable or an acceptable way to live or to think. We have, you know, I think I'm guilty of it, or I think that's just part of life, is that um, I think a certain way, I think a certain way, and maybe someone else that may not have had to deal with things that I dealt with, they think a whole nother way. And we may miss each other because we just assume you should know what's next, or you should know what and how to say certain things. And, we kind of miss each other. So your language, how you use your language, can definitely be a form of miscommunication, because we all have different vernaculars. We all have different slang words. We all come from different parts of the country. We all have different sayings. You may have some people that have these sayings that they say, um, that maybe something that runs in their family, and they say certain things almost like, you know, uh, killing two birds with one stone. Someone may not understand what that actually means, and they're speaking that way, and the other person's just not getting it. So the other part of communication is just being able to uh, uncode the definition, uncode exactly where this person is coming from when they are actually speaking. And, you know, that's another thing of trying to, improve your communication. Let's think about nonverbals. Nonverbal communication is something that you have to pay attention to. You got to pay attention to your surroundings. You got to pay attention to how people stand and posture themselves. You know, those are things that you really have to pay attention to, because the nonverbal communication can really, pass you by. And again, that can be another situation of a life or death situation, where the nonverbal is what their eyes are looking like, what their face is doing, what their hands is doing. How are they standing? Are they directing somebody else from far away? They're looking at their stance. Just those nonverbal um, things should be red flags, and it should be something that you pay attention to, because communication is not only how you deliver things, but also how you take in things, how you, you know, um, look at the world that's around you, and understand the world that's around you, That's part of communication. So the nonverbals are the things that really get people slumped. If you don't pay attention, then you will definitely miscommunicate someone's, you know, actions and what they want from you or for you, the whole nine. If you miss those signs, then you're kind of slacking and lacking when it comes to communication. Um, Words that we use, a lot of times a beef or something can be preferenced way before it becomes an actual argument or actual beef. You know, I know that just the beginning of a sentence can be, you know, the life or death situation, in that is the words that they use, is the words that you use in the beginning of a sentence that will shape how that conversation is going to go, you know? So I know for one, that if someone is not happy about something, and the first thing that comes out of their mouth is, I feel as though. So it's beef. If you don't understand that vernacular, if you don't understand that form of communication, if you ever hear somebody say, and they are addressing you in a conversation, well, I feel as though, so now they are creating a laundry list of things that are a problem, so they're giving you a heads up that, okay, after they have said, I feel as though, they are now going to run down a laundry list of things that has affected them, whether it was miscommunication or whether it was something that they felt that they were disrespected by. So those key words, those key phrases are important in communicating. Um, Other parts of communicating that, you know, we have to, catch on. I said nonverbal, I said verbal, phrases, and then now inflections, tones. We all can listen. We use our ears and we listen, and we can catch the inflection in someone's voice, whether it's real high pitch, whether it's low, whether it's short, whether it's long winded, whether it's very aggressive. We can catch that from the beginning, just listening to the inflection in their tone. Now, there's a certain thing, I can't remember it off top, but it's more like if someone comes to you and they're being aggressive, then do you match aggression with aggression sometimes? Maybe not. You have to be strategic in how you um, attack that situation or how you even, respond back. So being able to bring their high pitch and aggressiveness down to, down a couple of notches is very important, um, to, you know, get that communication going the way that you're going. The other thing is being able to be complimentary in your communication. Everyone loves for someone to give them a compliment. A compliment sometimes will smooth things over, especially in an argument. And the compliment would normally go similar to this, where it's a setup where you are really just acquiescing and giving into what they want. So if someone's yelling and they're like, man, well, da, 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 and they had a problem, then no problem. How can I help you get to that? How can I help you get, what you want out of this situation? So sometimes it takes for you to be strategic in the way that you communicate. So they all rah, rah, rah and mad. And then you come to them and you kind of quell that situation by coming in calm and trying to debt the situation, or go ahead and find something that would appeal to them, where now they feel like they are winning maybe that argument or that conversation. So that's another technique in communicating, is being able to acquiesce and say, you know what, you got it. Whatever it is that you want, cool, you got it. You know, it's fine. Not to the point where you just giving in, but being able to settle that and make sure that it's not a back and forth argument, you know. So sweetening the deal, okay? When we're talking about communicating, you know, again, everyone loves to be complimented and then also thought of, and then also feeling like, man, I got a deal, you know. And I would use a car salesman, you know, and a car salesman selling someone a car. And there's a couple of parts that car salesmen have to be very good at and have a keen ear when it comes to it, and understanding how to sell to their needs, or figuring out their needs, uncovering their needs, and once uncovering their needs, kind of play into communicating how this will, you know, be everything that this person wants, and will actually answer all of their questions. So um, a lot of times is the back and forth with communicating and uncovering a need. So someone comes in and they're like, I need a dependable car. Now, you know, like I know, with the English language, so many different words can be used and can have a whole totally different meaning depending on the person that is coming from. So they said, I want a dependable car, I want a light color car, and I want a fast car, and I want a car that is not going to cost me a lot of money. Now, the car salesman has a car that fits all of that. Now, let's go to the last one. That's not going to cost them a lot of money. So the sticker price is 30,000. That's pretty high, right? 30,000. But the car salesman is trying to communicate to that particular person that, hey, you're going to save money down the road. Now, how can he use his skills of communication to really get it, you know, lay it all out for him? So then the customer is like, wow, yeah, I am going to save money. So 30,000 is the sticker price. How is he going to show him how he can save money? In a number of ways. Okay, 30,000 is a sticker price, but you have that old hoopty there. And how many times does that hoopty break down? It probably breaks down probably 10 times a year, and probably stays broken down during the winter. The heat doesn't work. In the summertime, the AC is sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I have flat tires very often. My tires are balled out, so I always have to put air in them. I'm always taking the car to the shop, but I don't have a bill that I have to pay. I don't have a monthly bill on it, so I'm actually saving money. So here's the discovery phase in communication. Well, how many times you said again? About 10 times, and then it breaks down on you. So when it breaks down on you, you are either late for work, can't go to work, late for something, or can't make it there. Now you have to pay towing costs, the repair costs of the car, trying to keep it up. Your tires are bald, so you're gonna need new tires. Probably have leaky oil somewhere, so you're constantly repairing the car. So they may think that at one point that, okay, I just spent $500 one time. But if you add that $500 up to that $300, to that time that you had to get a new tire, to that time that they had to tow you, and you start adding those up, and then you multiply that, and you're like, every year you are spending, excuse me, you are spending this amount of money. Walaikum salam, how you doing, sir? You're spending that much money for that car. You're paying the $30,000, and you're paying $400 a month because you got pretty decent credit. $400 a month, And you don't have to worry about your car breaking down because it's a new car. Don't have to worry about all of these other things on top of your insurance, on top of the car always breaking down. So now let's look at the gas mileage. How much does it cost to fill your car up, and how often do you fill your car up? So the customer is like, okay, I'm filling my car up every week because I'm driving about 400 to 500 miles a week, and this thing is terrible on gas because I have to fill it up sometimes in a week, about 4 times in a week. Now the salesman is like, okay, I'm trying to communicate cost savings, even though the sticker price is 30,000. We're looking at what your day to day, your week to week, and month to month expenses are going to be. The customer already knows that they're spending money out of the pocket every time. Boom, boom, 500 here, 300 here, whatever. Now, with our car, you can fill up once and it'll get you through 3 weeks of gas. But with your old car, you were actually spending 3 to 6 to 9 times as much as what you would spend in the newer car. So now you build value with communication and have shown them, hey, we can save you money. Now in the long term, he's going to be spending $30,000 for the car. But right then and there, the salesman was able to relay the message that, hey, I can save you money, and this is how. And this is the amount of money that you're spending just by communicating and then following those things that matter to the customer. So picking up what is very important to the customer, breaking down, spending a whole lot of money, constantly going back and forth and being inconvenienced, filling up the gas tank more than 3 times a week when this car you can ride on it for 3 whole weeks without filling the gas tank up. So communication is very, very important. It's how you deliver the message, and that's going to determine how the person that's hearing the message is going to receive the message. So why is customer service such a big deal? You know, customer service is such a big deal is because it's how people treat you. It's how people engage you when you come to their establishment. A lot of times when you go to an establishment and they don't really treat you with respect, and they don't communicate to you that this establishment respects the customer's dollar. If they just treat you like another number and say, oh, take it and leave, or I'm gonna call the police because I think you're stealing, then 9 times out of 10, you're not gonna want to go back to that establishment. So when you go to certain establishments like Chick-fil-A, Chick-fil-A has a culture of communication. Their culture of communication is to first and foremost acknowledge the customer, and then once acknowledging the customer, really listen to what the customer is saying, and then in the end tell the customer that it was their pleasure with helping the customer out, that thank you for coming, and with gratitude, my pleasure, thank you. So that way of communicating and can help bridge the gap between how stores are getting more customers or losing customers. Just that culture of communication really makes the customer feel, like they're worth something, that they have actually spent their dollar and is a worthwhile purchase, because that communication, that line of communication, that type of customer service really is built for them, is really to tell them thank you for coming in. So a lot of times we don't get that. We don't hear people say, oh, thank you for your work, or have a great day. A lot of folks don't hear that. So people being able to communicate that to them makes them want to go back, makes them repeat customers. I've had situations where customers paid 10,000 or more over the base price. You have a base price, you have a sticker price for cars, and they've actually paid that money outright because they were happy with the service that they had actually received from, the salesman, and then also from uh, just the group as a whole. So how they spoke to that customer and how they communicated, and also was able to say, hey, we want to know what your needs are, and we are sensitive to your needs. And it made the customer feel like, okay, I'm at home and people really do care. So back to inflection, and also just your tone. They always say it's not what you say, sometimes it's more about how you say it. So just your tone and how you're saying it, your tone, your face, your facial expression, your body, your nonverbal, you know, really uh, sells, and what is really going on. Whether you're upset, whether you're happy, it's all in your tone, it's all in your inflection, and it's all in your nonverbal. So those are other parts of communication, but that's very important. So these are things that I think about when I deal with customers as a whole. Our motto is "We will work for you." So it's double sided. We will work for you, and we will work for you. So it'll work for you as using this product, and we will do our best to work for you and stand behind that word. So when people hear that, and it's communicated effectively, then they know that they have a good product. They know that someone is going to bat for them. So that's our motto. So it's all in what you say. They said there's life and death in your tongue. So whatever it is that you say out your mouth, words take form and take flesh, and can be life and death in the words that you use. So how you set it up strategically setting up whatever it is that you are saying, and the delivery, you know, and the tone of the delivery makes for either a great, conversation, or something that's going to go downhill and going to be a terrible conversation because someone got you wrong. You may have made a stank face when you were talking, and they saw was a stink face, and they like, you know, now we have a form of miscommunication because they're not hearing what you're saying because they saw the stink face. So that is it for tonight. Is a short one for the books tonight. So communication is key, and communication is something that we do verbally, non-verbally. How we say it, the tone, and the delivery is what really matters. And if you're on the other side of trying to get someone to be on your side, buy a product, then you would have to now understand how to use communication to your benefit. Is that using it to your benefit with listening, and then answering the wants and the needs of your customer, and then being able to align what is very important to the customer to your sales pitch. So again, with the car example, saving money was that person's go-to. They wanted to save money, so now that car salesman had to uncover the need and actually show them in steps and communicate. These are the ways that you are going to save money over time. So communication is key in relationships, in any area of life that you are in. Communication is definitely key to the life or the death of that particular relationship or business deal, sales, and just friendship or a conversation as a whole.